Hello and welcome to Podcast Heroes. My name is Dom and with me is
Attila.
Awesome. Today we're going to talk about PlayerUnknowns Battlegrounds. What is this game and why is it such a huge success? So I thought maybe Attila, you could introduce us to the game. What exactly is PlayerUnknowns Battlegrounds?
Well, that's quite simple. Battlegrounds is a survival action-packed game where 100 players get dropped down onto an island, jumping from a plane by finding loot, like weapons, medkits, armor, etc., and be the last man standing. This guy is the winner of the whole round.
The term that has been tossed around a lot for this kind of game is Battle Royale. Where exactly does this come from?
Well, it comes from a book, from a novel written by Japanese writer Koshun Takami. In that book, high school students had to fight each other. We were forced to fight each other.
All right. So that seems to be the inspiration for PlayerUnknown to design the kind of games that he did, right? So that's also an important talking point, right? When we're trying to figure out why this game is so successful and so popular at the moment. Part of that is because of PlayerUnknown, who is even part of the game's title. So PlayerUnknown, for those who don't know, his real name is Brandon Green, and he worked on mods for DayZ and H1Z1 in the past, where he also created Battle Royale type of mods for these games. So I think part of the appeal already we can see is that these mods were quite successful in the past. They had a big fellowship, lots of people playing them, enjoying these games. These have also been streamed on Twitch quite a lot. So when he announced that he was going to make his very own standalone game, creating it entirely by himself, not being dependent on another game that he's modding it for, I think people understandably went quite crazy and had huge expectations for it. So now the game is here. It's been in early access for a couple of months. It's already been a huge success. It made millions of dollars for him already. I think news broke this week that it sold over 4 million times in early access, which is quite a lot. So we know that PlayerUnknown himself is a big part of the popularity of this game, but certainly that's not the only factor, right? What else makes this game so appealing?
The simplicity of the whole game design, to be honest. But on the other side, the game is giving you so much freedom to do whatever you want. You can drop wherever you want, whenever you want, and you can do whatever you want, literally. What you can't do is, of course, fly around. That's not possible, where you still stick to the laws of physics.
But the game gives you freedom to play it the way that you want to play it, right?
Exactly.
So, for example, if I'm somebody who just likes to run around, guns blazing, shoot everything I see, that's an option for me. But the same way, if I'm somebody who likes to take a more stealthy approach, who likes to sneak around, who likes to hide in tactical places, I can do that as well, right? And there's neither of these ways is punished nor encouraged, right? It's basically everything's up to you once you drop onto the island.
Exactly, yes. And I think that's the point why it is so successful. You have no boundaries. You have no rules. If you think about it, there are no rules.
Right. I think there's one of the few rules, basically, which also, is tightly implemented in the game design, which is that the area of action, the area where you are allowed to be, shrinks in the course of the game, right? So in the beginning, you start out, you have the whole map, you have the whole, I think it's 8 square kilometers of the map in which 100 people spread.
Yeah.
So, but to combat that, everybody just camps in a position and the game doesn't move forward. The game forces you to move into the circle, basically, right? And the circle gets tighter and tighter.
It forces encounters.
Exactly. And it does it in this way, but it also does it in another, what I think is really clever way, because like you said, it depends on where you drop initially, how the game starts out for you. There are certain areas in the game which are designed to be hotspots, if you will, right? For example, there's the military base, there's the school, and I think most people who've played it for quite a while, they know that the best loot usually can be found there. I mean, military base makes sense, right? I mean, it's a place that's full with guns and weapons and explosives and I don't know what stuff. So many people will drop there. The drawback, of course, is that initially many people will drop there. So
yeah, many people think that way.
Exactly, many people think that way. So your chance of survival going there are rather low. But if you do get there and you do survive, you are rewarded with great loot from the start. Hence, you have an edge over the other players in the game. So it's these kind of little things that make it interesting that there's tactical choices. which also speaks for, in my opinion, a pretty good map design, considering that it's so huge, that it has these hotspots that forces players, or at least, encourages players to go the same way, and gives them also tactical freedom and choices. The entire map design is also done pretty well, right? I mean, you have vast open spaces where you rather wouldn't want to be if there's a sniper on a hill, but you can be that sniper on the hill, and you have an advantage because you have the high ground, right? So to circle back to one of the things you said at the beginning, that there's a psychological factor to this game. So there's this factor that you're never quite sure what's going to happen next, right? You never know if there's somebody around the corner, if there's somebody in the house that you're about to enter, if there's somebody behind a tree that you might walk by. So for you as a player, you're in this constant state of sort of fear and excitement. You're always on the edge, which I think is for many people just fun. It's a thrill to play, but also it's a thrill to watch, right? Which I think also explains why this is such a huge phenomenon on Twitch at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not only fun to watch because it's thrilling. There are also happening a lot of funny things. I mean, really stupid things. The game is still in alpha, we all know that, and there are still some kind of game engine bugs which produce pretty funny situations. There was one guy who was sitting in a garage and another guy saw him from far away, was in a car and was driving into that garage to kill him. But the other guy who was in the garage managed to just jump on the side and sit into his car, just hitting him with a pan on his head, and finally just killed him. The whole chat was going crazy on Twitch. That was one hilarious moment. And those moments are just really crazy. Like I said before, I mean, the game actually has no rules so far. There's just one game design rule that forces everyone to encounter each other by shrinking the size of the battlefield. But actually there are no rules. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want.
Exactly. And like you said, this just brings forward funny moments, right? I mean,
yeah,
both you and I, we have played this game for quite a while. Solo, the two of us, or together with other friends. And there have been so many incredible little funny stories that came to be. Just like this guy with the pen that you mentioned, but I also remember us just, I don't know how often we goofed around or we messed something up. We threw grenades at each other by accident, or we figured out funny tactics to screw with other people's minds before we took them down, and they actually worked. And it's these kind of things that you laugh about, you remember them, and it also encourages you to keep on playing, because these funny things will keep on happening, because it's such a vast sandbox type of game, right? Okay. So we know the game is so successful, not only because of its developer, and not only because it's fun to play in so many different ways and all the funny things that happen, but also I have the impression that it's doing so well, especially as an early access game.
Yeah, totally.
Because you do have the feeling that Bluehole Studios, the developer of the game, that they are actively working on this game, right? You have so many early access titles where you buy in and then you don't hear anything about the development for a month or 2 or 3 until you get an update. But here you get updates like almost every week. Me as somebody who bought into the early access, I feel very safe and secure about my purchase, because I see this developer is actively working on their title. And I see that development is moving forward.
Yeah, but you have to admit that you were pretty skeptical about it at the beginning.
Oh, yes.
Because, I mean, a lot of people are. Early access games don't have a good reputation, to be honest. I'm looking at you, Daisy. And, Bluehole is doing it so right. You really feel like they are caring about the game. They are caring about the development. And when we are talking about development, there are some new maps or play modes announced. What do you know about that?
Yeah, exactly. So what they announced at E3, which now was 1 or 2 weeks ago, is they announced a new zombie mode that's due to come out whenever. They didn't announce a date, right? But that's a big change. Yeah. I mean, because at the moment this is strictly player versus player, so human versus human at this point. So what they said is their plan is that this zombie mode would also pitch players against players, but that a certain amount of players in this 100 people big server, part of those 100 people would be playing the zombies. So the way that I understand is that a small group of people will play as humans, and that the rest of the people will play the zombies. the way that I see it, I think it definitely would be fun. But personally speaking, I'm not sure how motivated I would be to return playing as a zombie, because unless they make the zombies super fun to play, you're playing the cannon fodder role. It's not that you're being empowered by playing a regular zombie that just lurks or runs around and jumps at people and tries to bite them or something.
That's not pretty funny.
I think it's much more fun to be on the other end, to be the guy with the guns and, just mowing down zombies after zombies. So my one concern is, how are they going to make it fun for the zombie players to keep returning to this game mode?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because we already had a game or a developer doing this kind of zombie against humans stuff. I mean, Left 4 Dead 2, where you could play all the different types of zombies appearing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, these zombies were special, but that's actually what I would expect from the game Battlegrounds 2. But yeah, it's a good point. How satisfying would it be to play a zombie? How motivating would it be?
Yeah, this I can't answer either right now. I think we just have to wait and see what the developer has in store for us.
Yeah.
So I hope that they come up with a good idea and that you're not just playing generic zombies, because I think that would get boring quite fast.
Mm.
Yeah, but other than that, and in terms of development, they've also announced that 2 new maps are in the works. So I think probably, as I understood it, within the year, you won't be playing only on the island that you have available right now. So that's going to change within the year, as far as I know. At least one more map.
To be honest, actually, for me, that's enough. The map is so big and so gigantic. A lot of people are complaining about it, but I don't get it why. I mean, of course, the hardcore tryhards, the pros on Battleground, we know each corner. We know each possible drop position of loot, and those kind of people, of course, those kind of players would love to see more maps. But for the casual players, the whole map is still extremely explorable. I don't have the whole map in my mind right now, and I'm playing it pretty regularly.
Yeah, same here. I mean, we've been playing it for quite a while, and I think there's still certain spots on the map that I've never been to so far.
Yeah, but I'm still welcoming new maps and modes, of course. I'm not against it, never.
No, definitely not. I think it's a welcome change of pace, not to always have the same site, even if it's just, a different theme, which they are going for, right? So I think one of the maps is supposed to be more on the snowy side. The other one is a desert map, what they announced. So, even from this point of view, I think it's nice, because if they design it in such a way that you never know which map you're going to get. Am I going to land on the typical island? Am I going to land on the snowy zone today? Or am I going to land in the desert area? I think that's also going to be interesting, just, to mix it up a little. But, all right. So, just to recap, what we're trying to find out is why this game is such a success, right? So, I think we understood that. I think a large part of it is because of the reputation of PlayerUnknown, of the developer Brandon Green, who was given his own development studio just to make this game. He has had a great reputation. He had a great run with the mods he designed for DayZ and H1Z1, and he's already established his own, I want to say, fan base, right? Mm-hmm. So when he came to make this game, I think he took a lot of the elements that he's done for other games, but now, of course, he just had the freedom with his own engine. Well, he's using the Unreal Engine, but he was not reliant on a platform that he had to use before. So he was not reliant on DayZ, he wasn't reliant on H1Z1. So I think what he managed to do was to create, I want to say, a genre that just appeals to lots of different types of players. Of course, you have to be a fan of the shooter genre. But other than that, if you're a player that's more action-oriented, you can go for that. If you're a player that more likes to explore, you can go for that. If you're somebody who just wants, compete with other players to prove that you're the best, there you go. This is exactly your type of game, because it's you against 99 other people. If you win, you deserve that win. Mm-hmm. And I think lastly is also, for an early access title, of course, it's a huge success already. But I think part of that is also because they are constantly developing the game. They're still iterating certain things. And they're also giving you this feeling that, hey, you spent your money on us. And for lots of people, that is a risk. But look at all the things that we're doing. We got this covered, is basically what they say with all the stuff they do around the game.
Yeah, I mean, $30, so that's a word. It is a word.
Yeah, $30, that's something. For early access, I think that's quite an investment. But so far, I have to say, and I'm quite sure you agree, it has paid off, right?
Yeah, by far.
I've already had so much fun. I have had so much laughter and heart attacks in this game. It's it's been a ride. So I think we got it covered. I think we have a better understanding on why Battlegrounds is so popular. We have a good understanding on which way it's heading.
Yeah.
So what do you say we cut it short here and return back to the game?
Exactly. Let's go.
All right. So everybody, thanks for joining in, and we'll see you guys next time.